The scheduled time for the special city council meeting. So we do have our first item on the agenda is an executive session, which allows for the city council to convene to discuss matters of whether it's pending litigation and other forms. That's from state code. So we are going to begin this meeting with an executive session. Typically, all audience members would leave for that. However, since you're already in here, we do not want to make you walk outside. So we will actually adjourn ourselves after talking with some of the council members to the Stuhnenberg room upstairs, if that's amenable to Mr. Hilty and to Madam Clerk. On that way you all can remain here in this room, and we will adjourn ourselves up to that meeting to discuss legal matters with our council. Again, that's in that regard. So what we'll do then is we'll ask for a motion for that. And if you just include, it doesn't need to be part of the motion, but just a comment of that of the location where we'll adjourn to conduct that executive session. And then we will come back when that is concluded.
Are we doing a roll call first, Mr. Mayor?
We could do that. If you like, Madam Clerk, want to do a roll call?
Doty?
Here.
Stoddy?
Here.
Register?
Here.
Williams?
Here.
Allgood?
Here.
Dittenberg?
Here.
Okay, any motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I move to convene into executive session pursuant to Section 1D for the purpose of discussing records that are exempt from disclosure provided in Chapter 1, Title 74 Idaho Code. The location will be the Stuhnenberg Conference Room.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. So we have a motion to convene in the executive session pursuant to Idaho Code for the purpose of discussing records that are exempt from disclosure provided in Chapter 1, Title 74 of Idaho Code. So that was a motion from Councilor Doty with a second from Councilor Allgood. Madam Clerk, so we do have the voting is open. It looks. And this does require a roll call vote and a unanimous decision, just so the public is aware of that. So all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion does pass unanimously. So with that, we will adjourn ourselves for the executive session, and then if you could please just remain here, we will return upon that completion. Thank you. So we do have just one more council member that we're waiting on. We want to make sure we have everybody here, so she should be here shortly.
So there is resolution numbers that are signed off of the agenda, and they're here. Okay. If you go down, you'll see them as well. Yeah, see the numbers are there.
Okay, with that, we are back, and I would move that we are removed from executive session at this time. So just so you're aware, there was no decisions made in executive session. It was a chance to receive, discuss with our city attorney for the purpose of discussing record exempt from disclosure provided by Idaho Code. So with that, we are all back, present and accounted for. And as you are aware, we have had several meetings in regards to this discussion, the parking meters downtown. We had our meeting, our special city council meeting on Monday, where we received public testimony at that point. So the intent, and this has been discussed with council, and at their suggestion that there not be public testimony taken today, as was all taken on Monday. These are resolutions for this, so that is not required this day. So with that, we would move straight into discussion of these items. So if we have two items on the agenda. Item number one is an action item to consider resolution suspending regulations and requirements for paid parking pursuant to Caldwell City Code Section 090712. So that was the first item on the agenda, and so I would turn that over to council for your discussion. Councilor Register.
I don't have any discussion, but I have a motion.
Always appropriate. Go right ahead.
Give for the actual agenda. Mr. Mayor, I move that we consider resolution suspending regulations and requirements for paid parking pursuant to Caldwell City Code Section 9712.
Very good. So do you have a motion for approval of the resolution? Do we have a number on that resolution, Debbie?
Yes, it is.
What was it?
277?
277. So that's a motion to consider resolution 277, suspending regulations and requirements for paid parking by Councilor Register, with a second from Councilor Doty. Discussion on that motion. Councilor, did you have discussion on that, Councilor?
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, I do not see any lights on for discussion. So again, that motion is for approval of the resolution suspending the requirements for paid parking in downtown Caldwell. So with that and no further discussion, then the voting would be open at this time. And all votes are cast. So with that, voting is closed. And that motion does pass unanimously. So that does, again, it passes that resolution number 277-24, suspending the fee parking in downtown Caldwell. So that moves us into item number 2. And this is the consider resolution terminating the operations agreement with the car park for FY 2025. So just so everyone is aware, the original agreement on that does go through September 30th of this year. So this would just clarifying that will terminate at the end of its conclusion at the end of next month, will not continue into the next year. Councilor Dittenber.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2078-24. As presented, amending or denying suspending regulations and requirement for paid parking pursuant to Caldwell City Code 0907-12.
Very good. So we have a motion for approval of resolution 278-24, and this is for the termination of the operations agreement with the car park, correct?
Yeah.
On that. So we do have a
Mr. Mayor,
motion?
shouldn't that be 278-24 instead of 2078?
So yes, 278-24, resolution number. Thank you for that clarification. So again, that's a motion for approval of resolution number 278-24, just formalizing the termination of the operations agreement with the car park for FY 2025, which would be effective October 1st of 2024.
Second.
So and that's the second from Councilor Register. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I do have something
Yes.
to say. Just very quickly, I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. I know it's in the middle of the day, but also all of your emails, all of the meetings that you've come to, everything. Without the involvement of the community, these things just don't, sometimes they just don't get noticed. And I see a lot of people on social media saying that the council doesn't care and that we're just going to do whatever we want, but it was your voice that actually brought all this forward to even give me some insight into looking up some of these things that I brought up at our council meeting. So I just appreciate you coming and giving a voice to the community and everybody who spoke. And that I just wanted you to know that you are being heard and your council is listening to you.
Very good. Any other discussion? Councilor Dittenberg, did you have?
Just a small note. In the process, and I appreciate everyone's participation and making their opinions known, I also want to point out that there were several people who we had a chance to chat with whose opinions were not vocal. They did not come here. They did not make their opinions known. And those were the people who kind of stayed in the background and waited to see what happened. And so for those of you who we heard, I just want to recognize those that we didn't hear also. And their opinions are also important. And I think that as we go forward, we strive to do a better job of listening to those who are vocal and to considering those who are not vocal. But I do appreciate everyone's participation.
Perfect, thank you so much. Okay, with that, then again, the motion is for approval of the resolution number 278-24. So voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed. And that motion passes unanimously as well. So that is all that we did have on our agenda for this special city council meeting. I want to extend my appreciation to the council for coming in.
Mr. Mayor, could you explain to the community exactly what that first one means? That means that they're suspended right now, and could you just go over that a little bit since the actual agreement doesn't end until October?
Yes, most definitely. So with that is effective immediately, if I'm not mistaken, Madam Clerk, and if not, we'll make sure that we reach out and that it's not, so that the paid parking in downtown, the meters will no longer charge. We'll be working with the car park to get those updated. The single double space meters, get them bagged, just so people know that, and then also have a message on the other meters, so it is very clear to people when they do come in, if they're not sure, stating that there is no charge. Obviously, those will be removed, but that is going to take a little bit of time. But in the meantime, we will make sure there's messaging out there so people are aware on the meters themselves, also so people are aware that they are not going to be charged, they're not going to be fined if they don't pay for their parking from this point moving forward. So, did somebody else have did you have oh, that was it? Okay. Okay.
Do we still have an ordinance, a time ordinance?
So the question was, do we still have a time ordinance? And I'm not sure if that went away with some of the changes we made, or if that 3-hour requirement is still in effect.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, as I drafted the resolution, there were lots of regulations of parking downtown that didn't have to do with paid meters. That was a difficult one. There was some discussion about it. There were some people that wanted that to remain. I think council members thought maybe that should remain. There's potentially need for further regulations downtown. But this resolution you passed today was limited to the paid parking component. So, for example, regulations prohibiting parking in fire zones and ADA zones, double parking within the lines, those general things that have been part of downtown parking for many years all remain. The time limitations that are part of that, and of course there's signage throughout downtown that does that. So whether council wants to move forward on modifying that might require some more discussion, but based on where things were left after Monday night, I felt like really the critical component was the paid parking.
Yeah, I think definitely will warrant more discussion in the future, not for this time, but in the
Right.
future, because it's going to require probably some additional staff. Do we need to have an LPR vehicle? Because you can't physically chalk tires, you can digitally. So there's things to be discussed with, that can definitely be brought in.
Just in the meantime, while these solutions are coming up, I just don't want the community to be blindsided if there's a 3-hour time limit and they're now getting, some kind of notice from the city. So I just want to be clear if there is or is not a time limit down there based on the prior ordinance we used to have, that they should be mindful of or not. We know the meters are going away, but we just don't want to put anybody in a bad position of not knowing.
And that would still be in effect. However, all the signs were removed by our street department. I talked to our deputy director today, who begged me to not make them go out and put them all up tomorrow because they are very taxed right now in the street department. So the signage is not up. It will be going back up over time. So that regulation rule is still there. We would try to help people to let them know about it, but most likely they will not be getting ticketed for that. But we do want to try. The problem doesn't go away. The reason we started this was because of lack of parking downtown. We want to make sure that we don't go right back to where we're at, so how do we do that? But those will be things that will be definitely discussed in the future as we come before council. Okay, so with that, again, I just want to express my appreciation to everyone that came out today, came out Monday and expressed their thoughts and opinions. We appreciate that very much. And that is all that is on our agenda for today. So at this moment, we stand adjourned.